Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the front line with Joe and Joe Pasillo, as always, joined by Joe Rossinello. And once more, dear brothers and sisters, let us go into the breach. All right. So we thank you all for joining us. Remember, wherever you're watching our video, whether it be Facebook, X, Rumble, YouTube, unless they decide to take us down, please share this video because where Joe and I are really we're having a lot of conversations like the one we're about to have with our guest tonight, Ed Steele, about the ballot initiatives that are going on in so-called red states, all right, where the forces of death are trying to enshrine this so-called right to an abortion right up to the moment of birth. And people are being lied to, they're being deceived. So we wanted to have Ed here because he's in the breach on this. He is on the front lines of this here in Arizona. You'll be able to see our videos if you go to any of our pages this morning. We did an interview with Dr. Gracie Pozo Christie about the same thing that's going on in Florida. And last time I checked, Florida's a red state. Arizona's supposed to be. We're supposed to be more conservative, if you will. In the meantime, we're about to have abortion that's legalized on demand. And Ed and a lot of other people, well, they're fighting a good fight to try to either prevent it from getting on the ballot, and if it does get on the ballot, to try to get out there and convince people this is something that they should vote no for. So Ed Steele is a Catholic convert. He converted to Catholicism in the early 1990s. He's been a pro-life advocate for over 2 decades and served in parish pro-life ministries. For the past 5 years, Ed has volunteered for a local crisis pregnancy center in that organization's men's mentoring program. In this capacity, Ed meets with the men whose wives or girlfriends are receiving services with the goal of helping them to become better men, husbands, and fathers. He has been leading the charge to push back against the radical, abhorrent abortion initiative being circulated in Arizona, which, if passed, as I said, will enshrine abortion up to birth through all 9 months of pregnancy as a fundamental right in the state of Arizona, in the Arizona state constitution. It's disgusting. Joe Rossinello, where do you want to start?
Well, I guess a good place to start is how are these people who are signing this petition being deceived? Because they are being deceived. A couple things that I know about it. It's abortion to the moment of birth, 40 weeks. Who's for that? Adolf Hitler was for that. That's who's for that. It's not abortion, it's infanticide. Talk about what you're signing. I think that's important because a lot of people, if they knew what they were signing, they wouldn't sign it.
Right. So this is a ballot initiative that was filed back in September. And the process is this group is required to collect a total of 383,923 valid voter signatures in order to get this ballot initiative in front of the voters this coming November. So they have until July 3rd to collect those signatures. And if any history tells us anything, they're going to shoot for somewhere between 500,000 and 600,000 signatures. That sounds like a monumental effort, but I will tell you they are very well organized and they are very well funded, and they are rabidly trying to get this thing on the ballot. It's pretty simple. It just says that if passed, abortion will be a fundamental right for all individuals, and the wording in here is important. They never use the word woman. It's individual. So every individual has a fundamental right to abortion. You do, I do, everyone. It's ridiculous. It goes on to talk about abortion before fetal viability. The state may not enact any laws or enforce any laws that would disrupt abortion up to fetal viability. And then another section says they cannot disrupt abortion after fetal viability if in the good faith judgment of a treating healthcare professional, which they don't define, it would be necessary to protect the life, the health, or the mental health of the pregnant individual. So there's a lot to unpack right there. They talk about healthcare professionals. Well, according to state statute, a healthcare professional could be a massage therapist, a veterinarian, a woman that works for a doctor's office, or a man that works for a doctor, anything. It's so vague. They've left this intentionally vague because we know why. They want to kill babies. And this will allow it all the way up to birth. So what's going on right now in Arizona? This group called Arizona for Abortion Access has already spent $5 million in this state, Arizona, to get this ballot initiative going. They currently have, at last count, 900 paid signature collectors across the state. And they're paying these guys anywhere from $26 to $30 an hour to collect signatures.
It's unbelievable that how this is progressing, and I mean, the $5 million. You would think that somebody would rally the troops. I mean, if I was a bishop, I'm getting all my rich Catholics on the phone. I'm like, we need money, and we need it now. And we go out and hire people for $26, $30 an hour to go stand in front of Target, or to go stand in front of one of these stores where these people are, and stand right next to them and say, do you know what you're signing? Because you know how many Catholics are signing that petition, not knowing what it means. You tell somebody, oh, this is a healthcare petition. It's a ballot initiative. It's just meant to protect women.
I mean, Joe, you're exactly right. And that's what's happening all the time. We've sent packets out to all the offices across the state, and all the diocese office across the state. And in that, we're including, so here's the actual ballot initiative. It's 2 pages. It's real simple. We include that, some bullet points, and then a call to action for the pastors to please mention this from the pulpit to the parishioners there, because you're exactly right, Joe. Every single day, unsuspecting Catholics are walking past one of these 900 signature collectors, being lied to, and signing a document that supports abortion up to birth. They are being complicit in a mortal sin, and we can't scream this loud enough from the rooftops.
Absolutely. I will mention, by the way, and you probably know this, the pastor at St. Bernadette mentioned it in his homily. Father Don mentioned it not this past Sunday, the Sunday before, and detailed, by the way. I mean, he got into some of the details, while he was giving his homily. So he was giving his homily, and then he didn't just say, oh, by the way, he got into it. He spent a few minutes on it from the pulpit, and he made it clear. He made it crystal clear, by the way. He said, this is something we got to watch out for. Don't be signing this stuff. I'm Ed, I'm paraphrasing him. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, well, and we need more priests to do the same thing. We need, we're giving them bulletin inserts with information on this. Our whole effort started back early November, when a friend of mine wrote a blog about this issue, and I read it, and it hit me so hard, the reality of this, right? And I picked up the phone and I called her. I said, and she's another good Catholic. I said, nobody's doing anything. And she's like, I know, nobody's doing anything. And within an hour, I had another friend call me who also read it and said, nobody's doing anything. So that was 3 of us. We recruited 2 more people. We have a total of 5 that we started with. We still have that same group of 5. We meet every week. We're recruiting people. We're trying to be careful how we do it, but we're bringing people in to do exactly what you said. Is we're standing next to these signature collectors, and we're pushing back. We're letting people know the truth, because you're right. These petition collectors, they're out there telling, hey, how would you like to sign this petition for women's health care? Oh, yeah, you know what? I'm for women's health care. And that's how they're getting unsuspecting Catholics and frankly, everybody else who would, if they knew the truth, not sign this, to sign it. So,
Ed, I'll be truthful with you. I would even call it people of goodwill.
Yeah.
There is nobody who is for a 3rd trimester abortion.
Well, Joe, just real quick. I was just about to say, but I want you to keep going. Let's be accurate with the statistics. 8 out of 10 people in America are opposed to late-term abortion.
Absolutely.
And
I think that's the hook. Also, just for purposes of clarity, I think 7 countries in the world or for
Yep.
late term third trimester abortions. Like, don't quote me on it, but I know a couple of them. I
China.
think North Korea.
Yep.
Like, this is the company that we're in. This is,
Exactly.
I mean, I can't stress that enough. Who in their right mind would be for that? Who, never mind sign it. And I think that's the hook, because people could get in, sadly, and I'm listen, it's a mortal sin, I get it, but
Yeah.
not everyone thinks through that lens. The hook, if you ask me, is it's infanticide. This is not a woman's right to choose. I have 5 kids. I've seen a sonogram. You ever notice, Ed, at like in offices, people hang pictures of sonograms, they tack them up, they put them on the refrigerator.
Yep.
Well, a child 8 months in the womb looks like a kid. Not only that, the kid is viable. He can
Right.
come out of the womb and live.
That's right.
So this is insane. And we, as in America, are voting for this. Insanity. And they can't do it by telling the truth. And that's why they have to lie. Because anyone, it doesn't even have to be a Catholic. I'll just call it a person of goodwill. You could be an agnostic. You could be a functioning person in life. If you're like, yeah, we're going to kill that kid 8 months in the womb, the person will be like, get the heck out of here. Get out of my face. What are you, crazy? That's what a normal, sane human being would do. They have to lie. And that is, to be honest with you, so sad, Ed. This is where we're at in America. It is so sad that we have allowed the establishment to do this to people. And I love the fact that you said no one else is doing it. I'm doing it. We need more people like you. This is what, just like me and Joe, we're like, listen, we're going to lend our voice. Who are we? We're no one, but we're going to do our best. Everyone has to do something, because at the end of the day, if you believe in God, and everyone's going to heaven, Ed, did you get that memo? Everybody's going to heaven.
Yeah.
Well, if you believe in God and you're going to stand before him, what he's going to say is, I'm from New Jersey. This is what people from New Jersey say. What did you do? What did you do? Well, this is what you did, and good for you. I love it.
Yeah. So you bring up a couple of really, really important points. So this abortion debate that we're having right now about this exact initiative is completely different than every other abortion debate that we've had for the last 50 years. The abortion debate we're having for 50 years is we're always looking for that inflection point. What's that point along the pregnancy where we're going to say, okay, at this point, we have more people in our favor than the other guys? Is it 6 weeks? Is it 12 weeks? Arizona currently has 15-week abortion, right? So that's the old debate. This debate is completely different. The other side, this group, Arizona for Abortion Access, has picked that inflection point, 9 months at the moment of birth, up to the moment of birth. And we need to make them own that message, because just like you said, that's an unpopular message. And if we pin that on them and we keep saying it over and over, we make them own it, then just like you said, 8 out of 10 people would be appalled at this idea and not sign this initiative.
Absolutely. And Steele, let me ask you this. And if you're just joining us here at the front line with Joe and Joe, we're going to be talking about Trump and Trudeau in the next segment. Just so you know that. But right now we're talking to Ed Steele, and we're talking about the current push to get a ballot initiative here in Arizona to enshrine in the Arizona state constitution a right to abortion up to the moment of birth, with no exception. So, and that's where we're at right now. Ed, let me ask you this, because we all know, last time I checked, I don't hear many stories about Catholics or other pro-life people that are causing violence towards anybody at Planned Parenthood. Maybe a few decades ago, and believe me, my anger gets up and up. I've been yelled at. Joe knows, down at Planned Parenthood in New York City. Right. I've been mocked at and spit at, and my wife called names and all sorts of things. So I get it. I mean, I see the anger from the other side. It's almost it's demented, as Joe was saying.
It is.
Like those are the people that they're the 2 out of 10 that think it's okay to kill babies up to the moment of birth. But here's the thing: you work at a crisis pregnancy center.
Right.
How much violence have you experienced? How much intimidation have you experienced? Because I don't see it going the other way towards them.
Well,
But I know
yeah.
you're catching a lot of flack.
Well, surprisingly not at this pregnancy center. It's been pretty lame, but I will tell you, they had an office, or they still have an office, literally back to back to the Planned Parenthood office, and you get a lot of cat calls and hooting and hollering from the we call them death scorts. They call them escorts, but we know what that is. When we go in or out of there, but and they tell women, oh, don't go in there. There's no doctor, and they're not medical people, and they try and intimidate people going in for sure.
No, absolutely. Joe Rossinello, we have time for one more question for Ed Steele.
I'll be honest with you, Ed. How do you think it's going to go? How is it going? Do you think it'll stop?
Well, that's a good question. We're trying to get as many people out there as we can to join us. Anybody that wants to join us can can email us at azdeclinetosign@gmail.com. That's azdeclinetosign@gmail.com. We're having a lot of success. We're having a lot of success. Literally standing next to them. I'll show you our sign real quick. Oh, upside down. So, we stand next to them and we tell the truth. The other strategy we're using is we're calling the businesses. They're meandering through parking lots at businesses, and we're calling the businesses, and they're getting run out. We got Goodwill to actually change their policy because they were allowing them in their parking lot. And after 2 days of phone calls, we got them to change their policy, and they're no longer allowed there. So we're having some success. But like I said, they're very well organized and very well funded. They spent $5 million. They're going to spend a lot more before it's over. We just keep praying that God will look favorably upon our efforts and make them fruitful.
Well, Ed, I'll tell you this. David had 5 stones. He only needed 1. So you keep doing what you do. And I'll be honest with you, count on our prayers. And like I said, I give you credit. No one's doing this. I'm going to do it. That's the attitude we need. That's the attitude Catholic men have to have. No one's doing this. I'm going to do it. That's what you're doing. You should be proud, and we're proud of you.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Ed Steele, thanks a lot. I'll see you soon, brother. Everybody knows I'm now out here in Arizona. Been here for the last couple of years. This is a great group of guys, and I just want to, before Ed leaves, just happen to mention, what Joe Rossinello, and while I was still in New Jersey, started men praying first Saturdays every month, praying the rosary in front of different parishes in Bergen County. Ed, the group here, I don't see them as often as I'd like to, but when I do, I feel honored to be amongst these strong Catholic men. They pray in front of the State House. They pray in front of Planned Parenthood, give tremendous public witness. Yeah. I say this to say, if you're listening to us out there, you're in an area, you're in a parish, start rallying some men to stand on a sidewalk and pray the rosary. And Amen. Trust me, Joe just mentioned, and Ed mentioned, God will step in. God's going to step in. Remember, God could stop abortion like that, but we have to do our part. Ed Steele, good seeing you, brother. We'll see you soon.
Good seeing you guys. Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome.
God bless.
God bless you. So he's a good guy.
Absolutely.
There's no question about it. So if you're just joining us here at the front line with Joe and Joe, share this video because these conversations need to be had. We need to spread, shine some light on what's going on out there. Now that Roe versus Wade is overturned, now you have the pro-death forces. They're ramping up their efforts, and they have the money to do it. We have God. Why don't we start remembering that? We don't need money. We have God. All we have to do is just step into the breach. Joe Rossinello, whenever you talk about Canada, you're stepping into the breach. Now, America, let's face it, is no big bargain, okay? But we said on the show before, I don't know how the Canadians are doing it. I don't know how it's hard enough to stomach Joe Biden. But here's the thing. He's lost his mind. Justin Trudeau has not lost his mind.
He gave it away.
He's just insane. So please enlighten me with what happened, because evidently Trudeau doesn't know how to keep his mouth shut when it comes to presidential elections in the United States.
Well, I came across this article. I thought it was interesting because it's an unwritten rule established between Canada and the US that we don't interfere with each other's elections. Why? Because we trade with one another and we don't want to have bad blood. Well, clearly, Trudeau does not like Trump, and frankly, Trump doesn't like Trudeau. But Trudeau recently made some comments whereby he said we're going to have almost like I'm paraphrasing, like we have to set up like Trump rules in case he does become the president, how we're going to navigate through this time period. Well, interestingly enough, two ambassadors from Canada, one David McNaughton and the other one Louise Blaise. McNaughton was the ambassador to DC and Blaise was the ambassador to the UN in Canada. They went public to the press and basically said that Trudeau should not do that because Trump could seek revenge. And what could that be? Okay, tariffs. Basically, Canada, 3/4 of Canadian exports go to the US. Now, Trump has imposed a 10% tariff on goods for many nations. If he was to do that in Canada, if Canada made enemies with the US through Trudeau's comments, Trump takes over, say Trudeau comes up with some draconian measure or some type of government that is not Pierre Poilievre. If he does not win, we don't know how that's going to go. That's going to affect Canada in a very, very harsh manner. 3/4 of Canadian exports come to the US. If you add a 10% tariff on that, that's a big hit, Joe Pasillo.
No, absolutely. Here's the thing. I mean, Trudeau has to concern himself with how he's going to navigate if Trump gets elected. People are still wondering how they're going to navigate through the rest of his term, just to try to get rid of him and hopefully get Pierre Poilievre. I mean, I don't know as much about Pierre Poilievre as you do, but not for nothing, he sounds pretty good. I like the way he goes after the press and they're kind of like their gotcha questions. He's a sharp guy. But we have to navigate Justin Trudeau because what they do in Canada spills over here to the United States, number one. Number two, here's what I hate. It used to be, Joe, like, remember something. Richard Nixon, the supposed closed-minded, rigid conservative, he went to China. He shook Mao Zedong's hand, okay, to try to form a détente with China. Mao killed 50 million people, but because of diplomacy, because of politics, okay, sometimes, especially when if in the interest of your own people, you might have to, in the interest of peace, okay, shake the hand of somebody who's a rather evil person, okay? Is Trudeau, I guess really where I'm going with this, Joe, I'm asking you, is Trudeau that much of an idiot that he doesn't understand? You don't do that to any foreign leader. You shut your mouth. If let's say, for argument's sake, Trump's got to go to France, or Trump's got to go to one of these European countries where they're just not into Trumpism or making America great again or whatever the case might be, they still want to do business with the United States. They're smart enough to know that, aren't they? Is this guy stupid? Is he crazy? I mean, you know him better than I do, but it strikes me that all diplomacy and all civility has gone out of the way, and it has to do with not just Trudeau, but all the people in the world who are like him.
Trudeau is an ideologue. And frankly, ideologues don't do well in politics because politics is about coalition building. Sadly. That's why, to be honest with you, politicians talk out of both sides of your mouth because you live in a country where there are diverse opinions and policies and ideas. That's in every country. And that's why politicians talk out of both sides of their mouth because ideologues don't do well as politicians. And Justin Trudeau is an ideologue. He's also a globalist. And globalism does not help the middle class. And in order to sell it to the middle class, you have to lie. And that is exactly what Justin Trudeau does to the middle class. Some people, their eyes are opening, but sadly, many people in Canada and in the US have bought into the globalist idea because they have abandoned God and it's their religion. The climate is their religion. And Trudeau belongs to that cult, and it is a cult. And
Yeah.
sadly, that also does not make life easy for the middle class because our economic model, the global economic model, is based upon gas and oil. At least now it is. And when you take that out of the equation, it screws up the supply chain and prices go through the roof. Don't let them tell you any different. That is exactly why, as well as printing money that you don't have, which Justin Trudeau did as well as Joe Biden, but those are two drivers for inflation. And that is exactly why globalism does not translate to the common man. Now, listen, if you make $800,000 a year and meat costs $17 a pound, you can buy 5 pounds of it every single week for your family and have at it. And if you want to worship the cult of the climate, have at it too. The only difference between you and the caveman, you have a $2,000 suit and an Ivy League degree on the wall, but you're no different than the caveman who's writing in whale blood using a bone on the wall. It's the same idea. You worship the seasons and the climate, and that's your religion. But
Yeah.
that does not put food on the table. Get that through your head. If you are in the middle class and you are voting for a globalist, these are the same people that are going to flush you down the toilet. You can believe all the lies you want, turn on all the political pundits, sit in your armchair with your beef jerky and friggin' Mountain Dew. And at the end of the day, you're going to be on food stamps. And that's exactly where they want you because it's easy to control poor people.
Well, listen, right now, I mean, it even goes beyond control. I wish people would understand just the type of people, in this whole globalist conspiracy, and that's what it is. They conspire together. Trudeau is part and parcel of that whole thing. Have you heard? I mean, I really just wish people would open their ears. That little ghoul, Yuval Harari. Have you heard what he said recently about rights? Did
No,
you
I did
see
not.
this? Joe, he gets up. I don't know. It looked like one of those TED Talk type things or something like that. And he's talking about the fact that we don't have rights. What are rights? He says. If you cut open somebody and you look inside, where do you see rights? He says rights are something we've made up to make us feel better. Do you really? Now, the people, they don't need a college degree to know what he's saying. Yuval Harari is a Nietzschean. He believes in the will to power. He does not believe in any sort of objective morality. He obviously doesn't believe in God. He's a homosexual. Okay. He's totally deranged because here's the thing. His thing is will to power. If that guy, you just mentioned the middle class, if that guy had enough power, Joe Resinello, we're all dead. And he made that clear when he said that. Justin Trudeau would do the same thing. Remember, Joe, remember the model for the New World Order. The model is San Francisco, rich and poor. The rich, once they've eliminated the middle class, okay, and all of them want to eliminate the middle class, all of them. You're going to have a working class that is basically going to be there to serve the rich. That's it. That's what Trudeau's all about. That's what Harari's all about. That's what Klaus Schwab's all about. That's what the WEF is all about. It is rich and poor. The middle class is gone. Whatever remains, they're going to make you poor. They're going to control you with digital currency. And that's the way they want the world. I mean, I just wish I don't see that as even remotely conspiracy theory. This is what they say, Joe Resinello.
But it's funny. You say that we don't have rights. He would change his tune if his rights were taken away. You see, that's what people have to understand. They have the upper hand because they are incredibly intelligent and they're rich and they have power. You see, most people are not in that situation. In America, only 1/3 of Americans go to college. And then you could slice that up. Some of those colleges really shouldn't even be around. And
Right.
some of those degrees shouldn't even exist. So even of that third, you could keep slicing in terms of people who were actually big earners or earners, if you want to phrase it that way. So ultimately, we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. We're trying to make our way through this world. But there are people who are very gifted. Well, as scripture puts it, those who've been given much, much is expected. Those are the people who should be servants of others, but sadly, they manipulate others. And that is exactly what this new world order is about. It's not about us, it's about them. And my problem is this: it's regular people who think they lie to themselves and rationalize away, thinking that they're a part of that country club. You're not.
Right.
You're not. You can't afford to think that way. You can't afford to vote that way. And that's where coalitions have to be formed, Joe Pasillo. I call it people of goodwill. We the people. We live in a diverse world. I have neighbors. I know my neighbors. We all aren't seeing the world the same way. I'm a practicing Catholic. Some of them aren't, but they're decent people. Now, I'm not going to judge them. I try to witness to them as far as how I live my life, but I don't preach to them. However, they're functioning people. They pay their bills. They love their kids. And what we have to do, if you ask me, is gather people of goodwill to have a common goal. And what is that common goal? Survival. Do you want to survive? Do you want to pay your bills? Do you want to be enslaved by an elite group of people? Because that's the direction we're going in. And that's what people have to see clearer. And they don't see it. We're going towards a digital currency. And if that was to happen, it's over.
Well, why does the guy who think he's got a couple $1,000,000 in the bank think he's immune from this? They move to a digital currency, they'll crush him too.
Of course, Joe, that's where people, they don't get it. I got news for you. Justin Trudeau will get crushed. He's not in the country. He's just being used too. Like, people have to see it clearer. You go into a digital currency, you have a medical passport. They control your health care then, which means they control what medicine you get and what medicine you don't get. And if you don't take certain medicine that they tell you to take, you get cut off. If you have digital currency, they press a button and they delete your bank account.
Try to go buy that piece of meat then.
You don't even have to yell. Here's the thing. There's no number to call. Your credit cards don't work and you have no money. Good luck.
Right.
Good luck. And you're trapped.
And here's the thing. If Donald Trump gets elected president, it's only going to forestall this. There needs to be a movement against this.
100%. And that's why it has to be a coalition, Joe. Joe, I'm telling you this right now. I don't have to marry you. I don't have to vacation with you, but I want you to survive and I want to survive because I got news for you. You're not going to hide in the woods.
No.
And survive. You're not.
No.
You're not. This is not that game. This is a game of they're coming for every inch of land, every inch of policy. And by the way, they've taken a ton of it already. They control every institution. Every institution of power in America is run by secular humanists. The Republican and Democrat facade is just that. It's fueled by the secular humanists. They all eat from the same trough. And every regular person who works hard is going to get slaughtered, and you have been getting slaughtered. Look at your food bill. Look at your food bill.
Well, look, you mentioned we started this conversation about Trudeau. I think the people in Canada right now have it a lot worse than we do, and we don't have it that great. But people are really suffering under Trudeau, and he doesn't care. I saw him yell at a Canadian citizen who asked him about high prices it was at a press conference of some kind or whatever. He's yelling, he's saying, the prices are real high. A lot of your policies are driving up prices. And a lot of people are suffering. Trudeau started to yell, you want to know who the people are who are suffering? The people of the Ukraine are suffering. They're the ones who are suffering. I swear, Joe, I swear, I'm not advocating this. I would have wanted to rush the stage if I was that guy. Are you kidding me? You're going to sit there and you're the president of Canada, the prime minister of Canada. All right. And I'm questioning you about the high milk prices or egg prices in Canada. And you're going to tell me that I'm not really suffering because there's people dying in the Ukraine? That is the best response that you could give? They talk about out of touch, Joe. And here's the thing. Justin Trudeau's not out of touch.
No,
he knows
I'm glad you said that.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
I'm glad you said that. He knows. And by the way, he succeeded. That's what people don't get. Justin Trudeau succeeded. He knows. Justin Trudeau says nothing. All he does, a ball comes to him, he bounces it right back. I've seen this in corporate America. You send an email, you send it right back with 2 more questions. You answer nothing. Stop asking him questions. He's giving you no answer. Waste of time.
Just get rid of him.
Waste of bingo. Bingo. See who he is. He is nothing more than a talking head for globalists. That's all he is. He does not represent. And here's the thing. He, like globalists, I know better than you. If you embrace that mentality, it's not a democracy. That's not a democracy. A democracy means we all have an equal voice. America isn't a democracy. America is an oligarchy. That is another facade that we pretend to all vote as if we have a say. They take your vote and they say, thank you, sit back down. Sit back down. I know better than you. You're dumb. You're deplorable. I'm helping you. And that's how Trudeau talks to people. I'm helping you. I know better than you. Like when Barack Obama talked to the plumber. Well, the plumber's like, I created this business. No, you didn't create anything. You didn't create anything. When we spread it all out, we help everybody. Well, you know something? I am not interested in the state being my mom and dad.
Right.
And I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I will make my own way through hard work. And that is how I want to live as a free man. And that is what America was founded upon. It's no longer that country. And it's about time people see it for what it is. Stop listening to the nonsense from podiums. Stop listening to the news, which says nothing. All they do is push propaganda. And frankly, they're not for you either.
No, the only place you're going to get, truly, the only place you're going to get the truth on all of these things is Rumble, X, and pretty much that's it. YouTube, YouTube will post your video. They probably shadow ban you. They probably shadow ban us. Same thing with Facebook. But X and Rumble, Gab, these are places, these are forums that need to grow. People need to get away from Facebook and YouTube. Stop scrolling over there and go to Rumble, go to Gab. I've been starting to watch Rumble more and see who's on Rumble, because at least I know there's people talking like the front line with Joe and Joe. And really exposing this stuff. Now, not for nothing, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. I never really heard Donald Trump, even when he was president, badmouth Justin Trudeau or suggest that whatever Canada does is going to affect America's policy. In other words, like the things that they accuse Trump of, they're the ones doing it.
100%.
Election interference, they're the ones doing it.
100%. That's actually how you see what they're also going to do, because they project their next move by saying that that's what Trump is going to do. And they've been doing that for 4 years.
But he never did that.
Joe,
and here's the thing. I said it before. The scorpion is always going to sting. So that's what the enemy is. They're scorpions. They're always going to sting. Why are we the frogs that jump on the scorpion's back thinking the scorpion's going to give us a ride, or let the scorpion jump on my back thinking I'm going to get the scorpion across the river without him stinging me? We're all of us in certain ways are complicit in this. They've rigged the system where, like you said, if you don't at least try to do something in the political arena, they'll just run roughshod over you. And quite frankly, Joe, sometimes I throw up my hands. Joe, I'm going to throw it over to you for a final thought.
Ultimately, my hope is more people this year see clearer. More people are seeing it for what it is. We have to take our countries back. We have to take our countries back. And I got news for you. Temporary peace. There are people who have this mentality, particularly in America. They'll say, well, Trump's controversial. I just want like a guy that's going to be peaceful. And they'll give up a little bit of liberty for a temporary peace. I got news for you. Ben Franklin said this. Anyone who takes that route soon will not have any liberty at all.
Well, that's the road we're on.
And that's the road. You see, my thing is this. If saying the truth is confrontational, well, then I'm going to be confrontational.
Right.
I am not here to take yours, but you're not going to take mine.
Right.
And I am going to speak the truth. I am, because I am also not doing it for me. I'm doing it for my children. And so should you. And that's where, like we had Ed on, good for him. All good things start small. All good things start small. It starts with one person.
Right.
And then it grows because common sense resonates. It's a common denominator. And that's all Joe and I talk is common sense. But we have the guts to say it. More people, and that's what we've talked about from the beginning. It's our kitchen table. More people have to see for what things really are, that these people don't represent you. They don't like you.
Well, that's the thing too. They look at the end of the day, and we'll leave it with this for people to understand. The Justin Trudeaus of the world, the Yuval Hararis of the world, the Klaus Schwabs of the world, all of them, okay? Remember their underlying fundamental premise is that human beings have no intrinsic value. Why do we know that? Because they're atheists. And an atheist who is necessarily a materialist does not believe any human being has any transcendent value. That's what it is. That's why that's all they think about, Joe, is their own power, their own wealth, their own pleasure, and quite frankly, a thriving, vibrant, religious middle class stands in the way, Joe. Stands in the way.
100%. Families stand in the way.
Families stand in the way.
100%.
The church stands in the way. These are all things that have to be done away with. And if we give them the opportunity, they're going to. That's why we have to keep fighting. We want to thank you for joining us here at the Frontline with Joe and Joe. These were two great segments, two great conversations, starting with Ed Steele about ballot initiatives on abortion and also about what's going on with Trudeau and the New World Order and the globalist elite in general. Please share this video. We're live right now on Rumble, X, Twitter, Facebook, number of different places. So wherever you see it, like it, share it, help us out. If you like the conversation, share it with your friends. You got nothing. Wait, Joe, what did Trump say? What do you have to lose?
That's
what do
right.
you got to lose? Hit a click. All right. Hit a click and help us out. We want to thank you once again for joining us. We will be going live every Thursday at 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So we want to thank you again. Share the video. And remember, until the next time, that our conversation is your conversation. And that conversation is going on everywhere. Viva Poutine!
Love it, man.